I had already sensed it the moment I walked into the dining room. The crystal chandeliers scattered a soft glow over polished silver. The kind of perfection my sister thrived on, as if life itself could be aligned neatly with forks and knives. She stood at the head of the table, spine rigid, eyes sharp, radiating that familiar aura, unshakable confidence, unyielding judgment. Adults only at this table, she said, her voice light, almost playful, but sharp enough to sting. You can sit with the kids since you haven't really achieved anything. The words landed on me like a cold draft. My daughter looked at me then, quiet, curious, maybe a little disappointed, but not openly. That glance felt heavier than the insult itself, and for a moment, I imagined the ripple of my life condensed into that one phrase. You haven't really achieved anything. I smiled. A small, deliberate smile. The kind that masks everything beneath it. I picked up my plate and walked to the children's table, where my daughter already waited. The seats were lower, the silverware mismatched, the chatter younger, simpler. I sat. I smiled again. My daughter mirrored it with a tentative relief. No words were needed. We shared a private understanding. Sitting there, I let my eyes wander. The hum of conversation filled the room, punctuated by my sister's sharp laughter. I could see the effort she made to dominate the space, the subtle signals she sent to assert control. And yet I noticed fissures, small ones. Her hands lingering a second too long on the stem of her wine glass. A forced laugh. The way she glanced at my daughter as if measuring approval. I reminded myself of patience. Humiliation, if endured with composure, can become leverage. I let the feeling settle quietly, like a seed beneath soil. I listened to her speak, to others laugh, to the rhythm of a family that believed its hierarchy immutable. I thought about the financial details I had kept close. The small knowledge of her overextension, her reliance on systems outside herself. It was not vindictive, it was simply awareness. Dinner ended. Plates cleared. Conversation thinned, the air relaxing as the grown-ups finished their wine. I remained at the children's table, letting the moment stretch. My daughter played with her napkin, oblivious, yet somehow present in the lesson I was teaching by example: composure, observation, patience. I stood when I felt the timing was right. The envelope was in my hand, flat, unassuming, yet it carried more authority than 1,000 words of confrontation. I approached my sister, who still had a smile on her face, a slight trace of triumph in her posture. Your mortgage holder wanted me to deliver this personally, I said, voice calm, steady, and entirely without rancor. I placed the envelope in front of her. For a beat she did not move. Her eyes flicked to the paper, then to me, then back again. Color drained from her face. The subtle authority she wielded all evening, the one that made me sit among the children, crumbled with the quietest possible gesture. No shouting. No gloating. Just reality presented, measured and undeniable. I stepped back, returning to my daughter, who looked up at me with a hint of awe. Not at vengeance. Not at spectacle, but at a quiet, disciplined form of dignity. My sister's hands trembled slightly as she lifted the envelope. Read, processed. I did not wait to witness the consequences, they would unfold, inevitably. The power had shifted unmistakably, and it had required nothing more than patience, observation, and timing. We left the table together. My daughter reached for my hand, and I let her. In that small act, I felt the full weight of what had been accomplished. Not humiliation returned, not revenge taken, but a recalibration of perception. My daughter would remember this. Perhaps my sister would, too, though not immediately, and perhaps not fully. The quietest victories are often those most lasting. I thought about the evening as we walked away from the house, lights dimming behind us. Humiliation had been offered freely. Dignity had been reclaimed deliberately. I did not gloat. I did not boast. I merely acknowledged inwardly that patience had its own power. And timing could deliver consequences more real than any shouted accusation. My daughter squeezed my hand and whispered, almost to herself, "You're really strong, Mom." I smiled, not at triumph, but at the understanding that had passed between us. Sometimes power is quiet. Sometimes it does not need celebration. Sometimes, the smallest gestures, an envelope, a calm smile, a refusal to rise to provocation, can speak louder than words ever could. And as we stepped into the cool night, I felt it settled the table had been set, not by silver or crystal, but by patience, composure, and an unshakable quiet dignity.